You're gonna die, clown. What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and I'm taking a look at Happy Gilmore, the first one, because we have a sequel coming out, Happy Gilmore 2. So it was a great time to rewatch the original. Click like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Join me in my cult following here on YouTube, where I actually go into things blind. Other people say they do. I actually am blind, so I do that. I can't help but not. Everything. I go into everything blind, including some doors and walls. So yeah, this is Happy Gilmore. It has audio description, deluxe. So thanks to deluxe, we have an excellent audio description track on this movie. And I watched it for the, I don't know, 18th time. I have no idea. Probably as many holes as there are on a golf course. But this is Adam Sandler, Christopher McDonald, Julie Bowen, sort of are like the lead cast. It's directed by Dennis Dugan, who actually is also in the movie, which is interesting because he's worked a lot with Sandler as a director, but he also plays the guy that sort of runs the whole shebang, the whole pro tour, that Christopher McDonald's Shooter McGavin keeps going and complaining to, trying to get Happy off the tour. So what is it? If you don't already know what Happy Gilmore is, I don't know, man. I guess it's possible if you just really don't like Sandler movies and this wasn't like the first one you saw and you just were like, nah, I don't think he's my thing. This is one of my, I would say like a top 5 Sandler movie. I actually like this more than Billy Madison. I think of his more sort of like just straight comedy ones. He's got some other ones where he's tried to like invoke emotion, taking the dramas out of consideration. I don't really consider like those films to be Sandler branded, like Happy Madison movies. But yeah, I think this is might be my favorite. This and Big Daddy are up there for me. So this is actually kind of like a full circle moment for me, because I remember sort of back when I first started thinking about film criticism and wanting to write. I was like a kid, and I was the nerdy kid that had a subscription to Entertainment Weekly. Like other kids had other magazines. I had Entertainment Weekly, and critics just didn't like stuff like this. And I was like, but everybody I know loves this. Like, it's quotable. Everyone was doing that. The price is wrong, bitch. You know, you're gonna die, clown. It's a movie that has, I think, even sustained the 29 years. And because it doesn't, it's not full of all of this like weird stuff that hasn't aged well. His film isn't like overtly homophobic or transphobic like Ace Ventura: Pet Detective is. So it's a film that people are able to still watch today, and not feel like, oh my God, what were the 90s like for us? So yeah, I think now I get to actually have my official piece on Happy Gilmore and talk about, I liked this movie. I liked this movie when it came out, and I've liked this movie every moment since. I think I had it on VHS, I have it on DVD, and I have a digital copy that actually has audio description, which I got a while ago, and just finally took the opportunity to review it in connection with the sequel. So Happy is this, failed hockey player, and just, he's kind of the guy that you like, how does he get girls? He has a short fuse, a temper. He doesn't seem like he's like the nicest or sweetest guy. He's kind of a slob, and he's like, I don't know, like the representation of the working man. Like when he starts playing in the pro tour, all of these sort of like more regular people come in the pro tour. I love how this film assumes nobody knows how these tournaments go. It's really expensive and hard to get into these pro. They just make it seem like these people can just like walk in, off the street sometimes and just show up and just be like, I got a seat. And it's like, man, that's pretty expensive. They're, really concerned about being silent and everything. That heckler guy would have been kicked out a long time ago. But we see him fail miserably at hockey because he can't skate. And he then finds out that his grandmother, there's a story about how his dad died, and well, his mom left and then his dad died, and then he was raised by his grandmother. And now her home is being taken because she didn't pay taxes. And he keeps telling this story about, like, he's like, my grandfather built this house with his bare hands. And he has to figure out a way how to come up with the money. Meanwhile, grandma's going to go live in a nursing home run by Ben Stiller, who I guess really wanted to play this role because he, around the same time, was offered a very similar role in Heavyweights, where he got to be sort of this, like, raging lunatic. And so he gets to do that twice in sort of like the same calendar year, because I think Heavyweights was also a 1996 movie. I think this came out the same year. So he got to do basically variations on the same role. And it's cool to see Ben in sort of like a little supporting role. So you can have a nice glass of shut the hell up. So yeah, Happy goes on the tour, and he starts realizing he can make money by going like driving ranges. First of all, he has like this bet, which is kind of a hilarious bet with these people who are like moving his furniture, and he hits the golf ball like ridiculously far, and they're like, oh my God, that's insane. And he keeps like knocking this guy's house and knocks the first guy in the head and then knocks the woman out of the window. And then it's like, well, I can go to the driving range and just challenge people because people don't think I can play golf. So all he has to do is drive. He can do that. All he has to do is hit a ball. And so he does, and starts making money, but he catches the attention of Chubbs, played by the late, great Carl Weathers, who I know Sandler was really upset that they couldn't get Carl in the sequel. He died just like a couple months before they started filming. So, yeah, which is kind of a weird thing because Chubbs doesn't survive the movie, but I don't know what Sandler's plans were. Yeah, so I don't know, playing another character, a twin, who knows. So Chubbs comes, and he's got this wooden hand. I don't know why it's wooden. Like, we have, I feel like I'm also a disabled critic, so I should comment on stuff like this. Like, did Sandler just not understand disability in like the 90s? We had prosthetics in the 90s. He wouldn't have a wooden hand. Like, it's so weird. I mean, it makes for a great gag for Sandler because it can get run over by a car, but at the same time, it's like, we had other kinds of prosthetics in the 90s. We weren't still using wood. Dentists weren't putting wooden teeth in the 90s. I feel like kids are going to get like kids today watching Happy Gilmore are going to be like, man, the 90s were rough. You guys didn't even have prosthetics back then. This guy's walking around with a wooden hand. It's like, no, we had them. I think Sandler just didn't know that we had them. So, I feel like I can't fully embrace that joke. It's not it's a joke that doesn't make any sense, and it's sort of at the expense of the disabled community. But anyway, so Chubbs brings him to try to train him and try to get Happy some golf knowledge. And at first, Happy's just like, I can do this. I can just win. I got this. I just need money. He's not really interested in golf or getting a jacket or being the next best golfer. He just wants to get enough money to buy his grandmother's house back. but Shooter McGavin feels like this is his year, and Happy's taking away all of his thunder, so he's going to work hard against him. Christopher McDonald is excellent in this. He plays such a douche. This is such an iconic role for Christopher McDonald. Like, anytime I think people look at him and like, that's the guy from Happy Gilmore. That's Shooter. Like, I think this has to be his most recognizable role. He's been in a bunch of things. He's obviously like a character actor for everything. He's on Hacks now. I mean, yeah, a ton of roles to his name. And a lot of times he's not the good guy. I think if you've seen Happy Gilmore, you just remember him. He's a great foil for Happy in this. So Julie Bowen comes along, read an interview for her. I know I don't need to be talking about the sequel in this one, but she was so stoked to be invited back for the sequel. She just assumed that Sandler was going to not bring her back and then replace her with somebody younger, because that's what Hollywood, I guess, has been doing to her. No, Sandler invited her back. Sandler was like, no, we gotta have Julie Bowen. What are you talking about? I gotta have, so yeah, she was not expecting the invite, and she got it. So cool. I don't know how we're using her, but I'm assuming she's got a prominent part, at least as Happy's wife or ex-wife, I'm guessing. So anyway, so yeah, Happy becomes interested in her. She's the sort of in charge of like promo for the tour, and she sees something different in Happy, of course, because he's like completely unlike everybody else that's in this golf community. That's the whole joke of the movie. But also you're like, what does she see in Happy though? It is one of those things, and it's one of the jokes they always make about Sandler, is that how does he end up getting these girls? Because his characters are not like that likable. His movies shouldn't be rom-coms, it's like he writes these characters like Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore who are uniquely funny, absolutely, and the comedy works, but then he ropes in this like romantic comedy element with these attractive ladies, and it's just like, but there's nothing about your character that suggests that you aren't necessarily like a romantic lead. He's just not a warm person. Happy's not, so anyway, he tries to have a couple moments with her. There's a sort of a nice moment on an ice skating rink where Happy tries to have a slightly romantic date, and she's of course baffled by how poor of a skater he is. Eventually, yeah, we have to have the Shooter versus Happy face off, and there are all these different jokes, and I don't want to tell you the whole movie on the offside chance that you haven't seen it, ruin all the jokes, but I would say it's a comedy classic. I think that's the reason why it's getting a sequel. Sandler isn't big on sequels. When you look at his career, he doesn't make a lot of them. He's a little like Denzel Washington that way. And you can say like his choice of sequel is odd, or you would have picked a different film to make a sequel of. But Grown Ups 2 was really like his first sequel. And then he's had opportunities to make a sequel to Billy Madison or The Wedding Singer or 50 First Dates or Big Daddy or Mr. Deeds or Little Nicky or, like any of his movies. He just doesn't, that's not his thing. Sequels, he just doesn't revisit characters. But for whatever reason, he has an idea for Happy Gilmore. And while not all of his ideas are great, I'm not going to stand up and say, Adam Sandler deserves to be fresh on the tomato meter for everything. There's some movies of his that I absolutely I hate. I hated Hubie Halloween. And originally I heard that they were trying to make a sequel to that, and I was like, please God, no. This is my least favorite Sandler movie. Hubie Halloween. Done. Dead. Hated that movie. I wasn't a big fan of Little Nicky. I didn't think it was that funny. A lot of his Netflix stuff has been hit or miss. Or just like, like, I don't like, viscerally hate The Ridiculous Six, but eh, it's got like a couple jokes in it, but it's far from being anywhere near some of his best comedy. So I know people are really big on Click. They like that. It's not my favorite Adam Sandler movie, but I know other people it is. Of course, he's got the abomination known as Jack and Jill, which is just like, I don't even know what's happening with that movie. Like, I don't know how he convinced himself that that was ever funny. But so yeah, this isn't like a treatise on damn you, the rest of you critics, for not liking Sandler all these years. It just so happens that I distinctly remember Happy Gilmore and reading reviews at the time, and this being like one of those things where it's like, well, then I got to be a critic because people need to know Happy Gilmore is great. It didn't, they don't really need it's not a film that you look at for critics on. But I mean, it should still have some sort of representation because it is entertaining. Yeah, you can come at film criticism from the perspective of there is a technical proficiency to it, right? There are films that are technically proficient, and I can recognize that, and I go, well, that was great. That was a great movie, well made, solid story, acting, directing, score, everything. I didn't really have a real fun time here. I never want to come to this movie again, but it was an experience for the first time. And then you have the other films that set out to do a certain thing. They're branded in a certain way, whether they're not trying to win an Oscar. They're like a kid's movie, and they're super entertaining for kids. And then a whole bunch of adults are trying to decide whether or not something like that should be fresh on the Rotten Tomatoes score. It's like, I don't know. Are the kids enjoying the movie? Like, really enjoying the movie, not just like casually like passing the time, but is this going to be, sort of like a pinnacle of their childhood? Is this going to be something that later on, when they come out of their childhood, that they remember nostalgically for the rest of their life? That kind of thing. There are comedies. It's like, are the comedies working? Are people laughing? Did it do its job? I think Happy Gilmore did its job. I think Adam Sandler set up a movie that in the end ended up becoming a comedy classic. I think people love Happy Gilmore. I certainly do. I think it's one of my favorite Adam Sandler movies. And the audio description on here is really good. I like how it actually points out some of the sort of like really specific cameos, especially like Lee Trevino. Man, every time Lee Trevino is like on camera, the description clocks him. They're like, Lee Trevino walks off, and I was like, and they say like the whole name too, like Lee Trevino does this, Lee Trevino. And it's like, damn, like we have like a Lee Trevino radar in this audio description. So yeah, it's good. There wasn't anything. It mentions what he's wearing, so he's wearing a Bruins jersey. It's not just even like a hockey jersey. It's an actual, like, they name the team that he's wearing. So there are plenty of opportunities there for a little bit of depth and description. There's like this really weird dream that he has where he has like a little person on a tricycle that doesn't even make sense. He just kind of put it there to be, I don't know, because he thought that was funny. No, I'm not saying every joke here lands. This is not a perfect film, but that's the thing about comedy, is that you have to take a lot of shots, and man, you're gonna miss. Some of them are gonna miss, but the rate of consistency is like, oh, how many of them hit, and is this film still watchable today, or did it not age well? Because we have a lot of films that also just did not age well. Watching Ace Ventura last year was deeply troubling. Because I remember being a kid and being like, Ace Ventura, I love this movie. Now as an adult, I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. And it does have still some legitimately funny moments where if you just take that moment out of the film, that's a great moment. That I still love certain scenes from that film. So I don't want to throw that in trash compactor either, but movie needs like a heavy edit and a rewrite. We need an Ace Ventura 3 where he just goes on an apology tour. But yeah, so Happy Gilmore, I mean, I even remember what the poster looks like. It's like he's standing there and he's like, it's almost like he's in a golf ball type of thing, like in a circle in the middle. So I remember which theater I saw this in, like, back in the day. I actually remember where I saw this movie in theaters, and it's been 29 years, and with that level of specificity. So of course I'm gonna come in with Happy Gilmore and be like, yeah, I love this movie. But trying to figure out now, like, where do I put it? Where do I score it? I have to score this movie. I have to score it on the tomato meter. And with the recognition that, I'm scoring some other films and trying to figure out where those films go and numbers and what film goes above what and where it is on the tomato meter. So, giving Sandler films room to sort of grow or go down from here, I'm going to give Happy Gilmore an 8.9 out of 10. I think it is, yeah, it's one of my favorites and it deserves to be up there in terms of like a broad list. When I'm done at the end of the day, I want Happy Gilmore, after I've, I don't know, watched and reviewed and graded every single Sandler movie, I want Happy Gilmore to be near the top of Sandler's projects, because the truth is that like a lot of his other films are going to be below this. Even Billy Madison. Like, I would put Billy Madison below this. Not tremendously far below it, but still below it. So, I'm cautiously optimistic about the sequel, but also concerned. I'm a little worried. His Netflix output hasn't been great. I'm hoping this changes things. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the other side.